Mary Anning's Curiosity, Chapter 4, The Fall. Summer, 1807. It was after supper, and Pa was packing a sack with old bones. It had been a poor week for selling curios, and he had decided to walk to Carmouth to do some selling to the tourists before the coach stopped at Lyme. "I'll be stealing a leaf from the Curryman's book," he said cheerfully. "Cut in on his sales like he does ours. Beat him at his own game." Pa was going to meet the London-Exeter coach, which stopped in Carmouth, and sell to the folks outside the inn before the coach made its way to Lyme Regis. "Is it safe to walk the cliffs this evening, Richard?" asked Ma. A dense fog had rolled in from the gray sea and had been hanging on to the cliffs all week. "Why not wait for a clear day?" added Ma. "After all, Carmouth isn't going anywhere." "Can I come, Pa?" asked the always eager Mary. "I'll go with you, Pa," offered Joe. "Neither of you is coming," replied Pa. "I'll be walking apace and you'll not be able to keep up. Besides, my feet know the land like the back of my hand." Pa smiled. It was a lame joke, and no one laughed. "Wish me luck." With that, the tall, bearded man was out the door, bound for the cliff tops. He planned to take a short cut across the Black Fen. This massive cliff, east of Church Cliffs, had a menacing presence even in daylight and was known for its frequent landslides. Pa, Joe, and Mary tried to keep busy that evening, each with their own worried thoughts. Later that night, there was a loud pounding at the door. Joe was the first to make his way down the dark staircase and to open it. He saw their neighbor, Mr. Bennet, holding a lamp, and two other men, strangers, carrying Pa between them. "These men found Richard at the base of the Black Fen," said Mr. Bennet. Ma came downstairs in time to see the men lay Pa down on a mat in the kitchen by the stove. "He was out cold, lying on the beach," one man exclaimed. "Lost his footing in the fog and slipped, I expect," said the other. Ma's eyes filled with tears. She covered Pa with a blanket and hoped with all her heart that his injuries weren't serious. "Wake up, dear one," she said, gently stroking Pa's cheek. While Ma and Mary sat holding Pa's hands, Joe ran to fetch Dr. Farewell. Pa's eyes were open when the doctor arrived. "What were you thinking, walking out on the Black Fen in the fog?" Dr. Farewell asked, opening his carryall. The doctor examined Pa carefully, beginning with his back. At the doctor's touch, Pa winced in pain. "You've injured your back, Richard," Dr. Farewell finally announced. "You'll need to rest. Can you manage giving up work for a bit? I'll see what money I can get for you from the Church Relief Fund. That way you'll rest easier." Pa nodded, although he didn't like the idea of taking money from others. At the door, Ma thanked Dr. Farewell. Then she took the large stone she'd set to warming in the oven, wrapped it in cloth, and put it against Pa's back. "How'd it happen?" she asked. "Reckon I lost my way in the fog," replied Pa. "The ground crumbled under my feet and sent me up skittle. I rolled down with the boulders." Pa never said another word about the accident, but as the weeks passed, it became clear he was not himself. He was dark in his thoughts most of the time, and nothing and no one could cheer him. Pain racked Pa night and day, and his cries and moans upset everyone. Opium was the painkiller rich people used. The drug would have greatly eased Pa's misery, but it was expensive. In the weeks to come, it seemed to Mary and Joe that Pa's interest in fossil hunting had died when he fell. Storms no longer excited him. He gazed out the window at a nor'easter blasting white foam against the house and washing the cliffs clean, and he'd remain silent. His usual excitement at such a sight was nowhere to be seen. Pa rarely left the house now, even on days when he was able to get up and move around. "When will you come to the beach again?" Mary asked each morning. "Not soon," was Pa's only reply. Ma encouraged Pa to take short walks. The sea air would do you good. Mary thought the great crocodile might reawaken Pa's curiosity and make him want to hunt again. "The Lyme Regis sea dragon is out there waiting for us, Pa." But it was no use. Richard Anning and the sea had parted ways, and that was that.